Hello my dear students, welcome back to class. Today we are here with our new chapter, chapter number 2, Sources of History. So in last chapter we have studied about the story of the past, history. What is history? In this chapter we are going to know about the sources of history. That means how do we come to know about the history of the past? Okay? So the main sources of history, we are getting the knowledge of history by these main sources. These are the things, that is historical monuments, artifacts, coins, written records, poems, stories, etc. So these are the main sources of history. Generally we can categorize historical sources into two main parts. Number one is archaeological sources, another one is literary sources. Number one is archaeological sources and number two is literary sources. What is archaeological sources? First, let us know what is archaeology. The study of the things of the past. Okay, the study of the things of the past is called archaeology. And the person who is doing these studies and research are called archaeologists. Is that clear? So the study of the things of the past is known as archaeology. So archaeological sources which can give us information about history, okay, are number one is monuments. As you can see, number one is monuments, the historical buildings like places of worship, whether it is old temple or mosque, church, okay. So these places of worship gives us some knowledge that what kind of people were there, what gods they were worshipping. Is that clear? Now places of worship, then caves, tombs, fort, palaces. So these are the things, these are the old historical buildings which gives us strong knowledge about the past, that in past so and so builders were there, they can make such a great things like Taj Mahal, okay. Is that clear? Red Fort, etc, etc. That clear? Now next archaeological sources are utensils, the old utensils buried under the soil, which when archaeologists are digging the soil and getting some old clay pots or bronze utensils, gives us sound knowledge about the people of that era. Is that clear? And lastly, coins. Coins gives us information and knowledge about the people's wealth. Okay, whether that period peoples were using copper coins, bronze coins, gold coins or silver coins. These coins gives us knowledge about the wealth of the people of that region, of that area and of that era. So these gold coins of India were found in the Rome. They were buried under the earth's surface of Rome. Still some gold coins which were found in ancient India are found in Rome, which gives us knowledge that there was being trade, okay, there were being different trades between India and Romanian emperor. So these coins, when India's oldest coin we are going to find in other countries, okay, that means that time coins were exchanged in terms of goods. Okay, like we are using money. So that Indian currency or Indian coins were found in the ancient ages. So that gives us sound knowledge that there was a trade relationship between India and other countries of the world. Is that clear? Now let's move on to literary sources. Literary sources means the sources which are in written record. Okay, the sources which are in written record in any language, that are known as literary sources, which gives us information about the history. Okay, so among that literary sources, number one is inscriptions. What are inscriptions? Inscriptions are those things which are written on rocks, walls. Okay, so inscriptions are those things which are written on stones, walls, pillars, bricks, etc. So in these things, if something is written, or in the cave, in the wall of the cave, or in the wall of the fort, if something is written, that we will call as inscription. Inscription give us sound knowledge about that period because it's in written record. Next, religious books. Religious books as such as Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bible, Quran, they gives us knowledge about the people of that era and the god they were worshipping, isn't it? So these religious book gives us knowledge about the history. Third one is travelers. Different travelers, they travel from one place to another, the different explorers. Like one of the explorer was Megasthenes, who was the ambassador of the Mauryan empire, that is Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, he reached to the court of Chandragupta Maurya and he wrote about Chandragupta. And this Megasthenes note, he was a traveler and he wrote about Chandragupta, and till today we are knowing about Chandragupta and Megasthenes. So this gives us about the knowledge about the people of that era. Okay. Lastly, the King's Court. In the King's Court, peoples were kept to write a written record of some cases of the king's rule or king's kingdomship. Okay, so that peoples were kept in a court to write about the kings and their kingdomship. So that records gives us knowledge about the kings of that period. Is that clear? And lastly, more than this, these literary records or the archaeological sources, we came to know most of the many of the history from the storytellings or folk tales which being told by your grandmother, grandfather, maybe our grandmother, our grandfather. The story which they are telling us, that same story we are told to them with their grandfather. So their generation to generation, the stories is handover. So we are knowing about the past by the folk tales also. That clear? Now histories and historical sources, whether that will be archaeological sources or literary sources, we should preserve it so that we can learn many more things from that, and our forthcoming generation will know much more about them. Is that clear? So hope you understood the chapter. We'll meet you in virtual class. Okay, hope you understood well. Thank you very much, student.